wanting to believe in the lies because it's much easier because one's life is set up in complete and total kind of dependency on it. And you know, I did a lot of survival courses, wilderness courses, and a lot of things to kind of, and I've lived a certain lifestyle that has shown me, you know, how to kind of start from nothing and be continually at rock bottom and continue to survive. So I have that to offer. It's not like I'm living a cushy life sitting here, blah, blah, you know, like it's all fine. I have not lived that kind of life. It doesn't matter what family I come from. I've stepped out of all of that, and this mission and all of this is way more important to me, and it definitely cost me some luxuries, but it turned me into a survivor, and so I mean I can cushion some of the falls that some people will take and some people will refuse, but it's down to our choices now. We don't have a collective destiny so much together as we have a collective need to share information and be more like a global family, and just assist one another. But we can't really change everybody, but we can certainly transform what's in our immediate environment and let it ripple out. And if enough of us do that, then it'll be plenty to affect thousands and thousands and millions, really. You know, you hear about core numbers. Well, if 144,000 awakened, everybody would feel the effect, and that's actually quite true, I believe. But it's not going to take that many of us, but all of us that are feeling that calling and feeling that nudge, you know, really do have to step up to the plate, because others, you know, they're going to feel the nudge, they won't even notice it. You know, it's like some are like the Princess and the Pea, and other ones, you know, can sleep on boulders and sleep just fine. With all the turmoil in the world, they sleep just fine, and they can be screwing you over and they'll sleep just fine. And then there are some of us that can't sleep at all when something goes wrong and we want to heal and help. So those people need to, you know, have support, because some are way too asleep to know the difference, and that's not their fault. It's just, as a global family, when somebody gets it becomes a responsibility. You know, you have to do something with it.
Yeah, absolutely. How did you first become aware of the Mars base and the plans to start over there and repopulate?
I didn't really know much about it until I was at I won't retell the story, but when I met the partner I was with, who later told me he was an agent, he was bringing up the Mars thing, and it got me curious, you know, how are we just going to go off in spaceships to Mars? There must be something there already. Tried to listen to him in conversations. I started to research the people he was dealing with and talking to, and, you know, when I saw the technologies they were associated with and the groups they used to be in and the ET communication and technologies that they had, you know, and the groups that they were in and how it was connected to the, you know, the shadow government and, you know, those acronyms that we all know very well that we tend to not like to say out loud because they're watching us. I don't even care, but, you know, just for everybody else's protection, I'm not going to, you know, reveal too many of the names, but I definitely will off radio. But
probably good idea.
Yeah. It's like, what did you just do? I just opened a... But anyway, I kind of, you know, I've let a little bit out here and there, just enough. But my intuition kind of tells me when I should kind of hold back, depending on the phase we're in. But anyway, so these groups, I mean, I kind of traced it back to MJ12. I did a lot of research and how it, you know, connects to a lot of the different encounters that some of the presidents were having with ETs, and you know, something that happened in 1971, dealing with Area 51, I believe it was, and you know, things going back in history all the way to ancient times. I mean, none of this is new, but we feel like it's new. These agreements are new because it's all in secrecy now, whereas before we had a lot more connection to our stars. You know, we weren't in such quarantine, which is a word that Alfred Weber uses in his book, how the Earth is in quarantine from the rest of the alien races. And, you know, we're kind of stuck in that mode, but then we're dealing with the lower races that are trying to manipulate us, kind of veiled from all the assistants and allies that are out there. And there were times, you know, I mean, think about all these ancient civilizations that used to be on Earth. You know, there were times that the mass population wasn't so in the dark, you know, given, you know, little toys, here's an iPhone, this and that, but we'll keep the Tesla technology and we'll keep the free energy and all that from you. We'll just, you know, throw you a new, you know, type of technology to make you think that we're all evolving. But no, we've been able to do things that have always, that were time travel, all of that. And even beyond that, you know, we're able to access other worlds and walk through walls. I mean, there's abilities that are majorly being blocked. not just from the government to the people, but between us and our own beings. You know, it's like we're lost from some of the capabilities we used to have. And, you know, and that's been intentional, of course. So, when I was doing this research, it was all connected to mind control, and there was things that had been funded through some of these scientists that were working on this Mars mission, had been funded by those involved in MK Ultra. And, it just got weirder and weirder. And, you know, why is this some special thing that we're going to go off to this planet and receive this civilization? What about the rest of humanity, you know? What about this mission that I was born with that has always been so strong? And having a lifetime of being almost kicked out of it or harassed out of remembering it, or all this, you know, weird energy hitting my space constantly to try and make me forget or never be grounded or even barely able to function, that seemed to want to stop me from what I was here to do. It all sort of reached a point when I was being recruited. It's like, okay, I see how that connects to what my whole life has been about. And they admitted to me that they had targeted me through Akashic Records, remote viewing, and something about Project Looking Glass. And that, you know, they had their attention on me for a long time. And they, you know, a lot has been revealed to me from those places. And it was like, you know, and then they wanted to sort of say, well, we were just trying to be a catalyst so you could really do what you're here to do on Earth. And I didn't really buy that. Well, you would have let me because there's nothing that was ever going to stop me. I didn't need a catalyst. I was born knowing it, you know. It's like anybody can talk their way out of anything. And there's ultimate forgiveness, and that's why I'm not here to be angry and you know, these are the bad guys or anything. But finally, when I did break free of this going to Mars, and the harassment stopped, you know, I've been able to focus on my mission, or whatever you want to call it, here on Earth, of restoring, you know, the resources, regenerating, you know, oneness, awareness, unity, you know, all these subtle vibrational shifts that allow us to really ascend and reclaim all that's been lost. So I've been given the chance to call those energies back, but I mean, so much was taken that it's not happening quick enough, and I always feel this panic, you know, in a race against time. And here's this oil spill, and it's just like I can't kind of keep up with it, and I'm sure a lot of us feel that way. It's sort of it's a constant onslaught. And the Sophia energy is so morphed into the Gaia physical body that, you know, different sound technologies and readers and people all throughout my life have shown me the connection and talked to me about it, even though I wasn't seeking it or needing that validation. It was sort of this knowingness that I had. Didn't need it proven, but it did end up getting proven from multiple sources just out of the blue, from strange documents people had received 20 years prior to meeting me that handed to me when they did meet me about my path and what I represent. And, you know, I kind of represent a unified field, so it's not, you know, exclusive to me, Laura. It's just sort of something that we're all kind of here to fight for and reclaim. That, you know, maybe the Eisenhower part of me is the part of me that's going to take a stand and make sure that I'm loud about it. But, I mean, that's the only part of it that might be exclusive, is that, you know, you can be loud about it. You're loud. You know who you are, okay? You know, I mean, we all have a voice, right? But something kind of out of the woodworks was kind of coming at me while everything else was trying to destroy it. So I was sort of locked between two worlds, one that was trying to kind of destroy all that I was here to do, and another, you know, one was coming from a whole other dimension that was saying, no, you're here to do this, and this is, you know, don't ever lose that. And you know, and that was kind of my life. And I wasn't able to pursue a whole lot, but trying to survive it. And now I kind of can take my breath and sort of tell the story. But, you know, back in the MJ-12 days, there was Alternative 3, which was to establish a Mars colony. And basically, because of the doom scenarios and the projections on 2012, none of the technologies, including Project Looking Glasses, have been able to predict anything after that time. So obviously, it's all projections, and it's screwing with the collective imagination and our creativity to say that this is what's coming, and so let's pour trillions of dollars into all these backup plans, you know, keep all these technologies from humanity, and then just save a few of us after we robbed, you know, this world of its resources, both spiritually and economically, you know, on every level. So I noticed all this, and I realized how long the Mars colony has been going around. Then I met Andy, who talked about being a childhood participant in Project Pegasus, and then everything started to make sense on that level, on the Mars colony level. But the first I heard of it was in 2006. But as far as how far back it goes in the development process, that could have been going on for a long time, because as we know, there's artifacts on there. The whole Sidonia thing and the face on Mars, and there have been all sorts of pyramid-type things found on it. But as far as, you know, maybe the reptilian agenda version of it and the one that really does enslave us, I'd say that's been going on. I think the process started around in the 1950s, but true manipulation of the presidents happened around the 1900s. where there's definite involvement off planet, and a very deep, dark energy, lies underneath that particular curtain or mask, treating presidents as puppets. And, that's why I probably suffered 8 heart attacks and had a very difficult time, because it wasn't like being a general where you're just being passionate and being a warrior. You become president, and it's like a whole other thing. And I know that he was not allowed to fulfill his vision, as a lot of us aren't in a particular lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where I come in. It's like, okay, lay it on. I'll do my best. I didn't even think I asked, but obviously I agreed to it.
It sounds like you're doing a terrific job. Half the battle seems to be just figuring out what it is you're here to do, and the fact that you said no, that you wanted to assist humanity, and rather than get on the ship and leave and desert it, that seems to be the kind of the pattern that those who think that they're gods follow. That everybody is expendable, and they take the very best for themselves, and they leave everything else to self-destruct. I had Andy on the show, just so people know, his name is Andrew Bajago, and he was one of the most interesting people because he had experiences in the Black Projects with time travel and time manipulation. And he said that was funded by the Vatican and by DARPA. And so it's a really fascinating story, and he said that we have technology now for free energy and for teleportation, and it's just all sitting there, because it's being controlled and held back, and only the people at the top get to use that stuff. So there's also, I'm sure you know Stephen Greer from the Disclosure Project.
Yeah.
He seems to be working towards disclosure about the ET presence and about bringing free energy out in a way that will not completely destroy the economy and the status quo. So there is hope around the corner, and there are lots of projects that, are just kind of on the edges waiting to come out at the right moment.
Absolutely.
Now, it seems like we don't know what that right moment will be, but definitely the people who have a dark agenda need to, somehow that needs to be corrected or removed.
Yep. And that's the thing, when these things, come out, the exposure, one can see it as kind of like a light that shines on all that's been hidden. And, once everything is exposed, they only have one way to go, either to transform and kind of, just completely shift, and or to, have to take it somewhere else and really just enter a whole different dimensional plane that doesn't allow one. It's a self-induced prison, really. It's like, there's a certain structure that we're dealing with, but around 2012, a lot of that is going to be busted free. And we are going to be really riding energy streams that connect to who we really are and what nature has been. You can, some people call it karma, judgment day. I call it justice day because, the natural cycle of things without there being any punishing God or it's up to some being. You look at the events from the beginning of time, we see how nature works, and everything, when not being distracted or corrupted, is a natural healer. I mean, the minute we cut ourselves, our bodies know to heal. The minute the earth is wounded, it knows how to fix itself. It knows how to deal with a trunk being cut. It heals itself. That's a natural process that nothing can really stop. But with continual onslaught and abuse and attack, it's like it doesn't give it a chance enough to regenerate. And so this exposure is going to put all that on halt. And when they get kind of like out of there for a little while, the regeneration process is going to accelerate to such a huge degree. And as long as they're still kind of getting away with things behind the scenes and creating continual illusions, using things like ARP and all these technologies to create disasters and really make us ungrounded and freak out, no real solutions when there's plenty of solutions, and we all know that technology exists. That exposure is going to, bust them, and when that distraction's over, everything's going to really regenerate. I know that. It's just the distractions need to go.